language change over time is a very useful analogy for evolution because it forces us to think about things as a population, and it's also something that we're a little more intuitively familiar with. So if you have populations that become separated, even if they speak a common language, language changes over time. Anyone who has ever had kids understands that languages change over time. Even though, kids speak the same language, grandparents speak the same language. Every generation speaks the same language as before and after, but yet that process, when played out over many, many generations, can produce significant changes in the language. So if you have populations that separate, that process of language change isn't shared between those two groups anymore. So differences can accumulate, average characteristics can change, and these differences may lead to new languages over time. So both species and languages are information systems. They are copied. They're copied with fairly high fidelity, but they're not copied perfectly. So this allows for this incremental process of change over time. Now, it's not the case that everybody sat down in 1394 and said, we've been speaking like this for a long time, but it's time to change. And everybody coordinates what they change. What we're looking at here is a series of snapshots. You could sort of think of it as a fossil record, perhaps, infrequent sampling of what we know to be a continuous population of speakers over time. And yet we see this shift in average characteristics over time. Now, is this the same language as this? In a sense, yes, but also in realistic senses, no. So too for species. So the shift in average characteristics of a population over time means that populations, as they separate, might become mutually unintelligible to one another or perhaps genetically incompatible with one another. So either creating new languages or creating new species. The process, however, is of course a gradient over time. It's challenging to draw a line on a gradient. Who was the first speaker of modern English? Well, yeah. Who was the first human? Well, same kind of idea. One of the interesting things as a biologist is that we found out that a small amount of genetic change can actually underwrite quite a large amount of biological change. Species actually require less change for major differences than languages do. Species evolve much more slowly than languages do. Languages change very, very quickly. Species, not so much.